Hello, welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to teach you a technique that's going to blow your mind. We all have this kind of dies, right? For those who do have dies, and now that you have the ScanNCut, you go, I'm not really going to use dies anymore, or not as often as I used to, but you have dies that you look at and you go, oh, but I love this die, I want to keep using it. I'm going to teach you how to transfer your die to a piece of paper, how to scan it on ScanNCut, how to cut it, and not only that, and this is the magic, guys. See this cat here? Let me just find him. This one is this one here, because they're, like this. That's how it's cut. When you have a die like this, a metal die, you can only cut in one size. And that's the magic with the ScanNCut. I'm going to teach you how to transfer that to the paper and then to the machine. And then you can actually duplicate it, cut as many as you want. But the main thing is you can change the size of your cat or whatever image you're cutting. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want, because once you're on ScanNCut, you can duplicate it, you can resize it, and that's the magic. You not only have your die and you'll be able to use it now on ScanNCut, but you'll be able to use it and multiply your dies. So let's get to the tutorial. So here are the type of dies. Actually, you can use any kind of dies you have, because we have two techniques here. I'm going to show you first. See, this one is very intricate, the first one that I showed too. These are my little cats that I absolutely love, and I have a whole bunch of those ballerinas. These are kind of my favorite dies. I have, I don't know, tons of them. But I'm going to show you two ways to do this, and it will depend on the type of die you have. See the one that I'm holding right now? It's very, very easy to trace. So if you can, and if you can trace the whole die, that's the best way to do it. Just get your black marker, trace the whole die. I'm not going to do the whole thing here. That's not the point. I just want you to see how it's done. And by the time you finish, this type of die will be all traced to your paper. And you're going to take this paper. I'm going to show you later how to do that, how to scan and how to actually save this file. But that's the first technique. And it's only with dies that this technique really can be done, and it's not all of them. It will depend on the type of die. The second technique, you use an acrylic block. Actually, what you're going to do is that you're going to pretend that your die is an actual stamp. Here I used just regular tape. I just rolled it up and I made sure it was very flat, glued on both sides, but you can use double-sided tape as well. You glue your die on that tape, and again it can be double-sided too, and you make sure you use something like VersaFine, because this is like the blackest in the market. You use any kind of ink that you have. Black is the best because it will be easier for you to continue the technique after you stamp it. Just stamp it really, really well. I got some everywhere, but that's okay because it's the elevated part of the die that's going to be stamped. You press it really hard, make sure you press it everywhere, and when you lift it, there it is. The basic image is there. Sometimes you can see that on the right side here, not everything is stamped, but that's okay. You don't need 100%. What we have here is more than enough, and it's going to happen with every die you have, because it actually stamps the elevated part of the die. Again, next thing you do is you trace it. Tracing is very easy because the image is there. After you trace, and look at this, it looks perfect now. If you send it to the ScanNCut, it's going to cut perfectly. I'm just going to show you again. Here are my little tiny cats, and I love this die. I use it a lot on, to place it on windows, by the door. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to duplicate and actually resize it, because that's the advantage of this technique. Again, here you're going to see that not everything, this is a kind of far away, but for me it was really easy to trace. It wasn't that hard. It doesn't look well stamped at all, but it's much easier if you look close. And of course I'm not going to do the whole thing here for you. I won't bore you with that, but that's the idea. It's the same process for any kind of die you have. Now here you see that I finished tracing the paper. I loaded my mat, and now what you're going to do is press scan and then scan to cut data, because I do want to save that file in my machine, and that's the great thing about it. You're going to actually save the file, and it's going to be there on your machine, and you'll be able to resize it, duplicate it, make it as many as you want, and get them all cut at once, and it's going to be there forever. You don't have to do this every time you need to transfer the die. It's going to be a file that's saved on your machine that you can go back to every time you need to get new images cut. And that's the great thing about this technique. So now the machine is recognizing. It takes a while, as you know. Let's just finish that. Yes, I'm just going to tell the machine that I want only to cut the outline. I'm going to resize to make sure that it doesn't waste any time recognizing all that dirt. Preview. It's going to look fine, and there you are. This is actually a file now that you're going to save on your machine. Click on the machine because it's going to be there forever. It tells you the number of the file. Now it's 21, and there you are. You have it saved. All you need to do now is just go back to your home, press home, and you retrieve the data on your machine. As we know, it's the last image. We're going to just scroll down, and there you are. All you need to do now is I wanted to show you how well it has been scanned. So you just make sure that all the lines are perfect, and it looks fine to me. It's going to, I'm sure, cut perfectly. And actually what I did was I got some of those cut on white paper, but then I decided that I wanted it to be black, and I substituted the paper. I just added a new one with black, and that's what I'm going to show you now. Here what I'm doing is just erasing little tiny things that were there and not images that I need to cut. So there you are. Let's see the results. We're going to click on cut, and we are done. And here's the magic happening. I know how much we all love to see the blades cutting on ScanNCut, and there are the results. Okay, so what I did was, and this is the advantage of doing this technique, because I had the file recorded on my ScanNCut, what I did was I actually duplicated some of the images, and that's the big advantage here, guys. When you have a die, you can only cut in one size, but when you send it to your ScanNCut, you can actually resize it. So you can get the same die as many times as you want, and also change the size. So how great is that? You can actually use your dies over and over again. All you need to do is just use the technique I just taught you. This is here my beautiful ballerina. And I actually had this one also cut in a bigger size, but I can't find it right now. I think I've already used it in another project. But see, it's perfect. It is the die you had. You reused it. And now all you need to do is just use the file you already have. You actually only go through the technique that I taught you, the tracing thing, once. After that, you're done, and you're going to resize it. That's the best thing about this technique. Look at this. You can make it as big as you want, as small as you want, and just use your dies. So you don't have the feeling that, oh my God, I wasted so much money on these dies. Now I have a ScanNCut, I don't want to use my dies, but also at the same time, you love some of them. here you are. See, it cut perfectly and you resized it. And I just want, before we finish this, just want to show you this beautiful tree that I cut. Let me put it on the white paper here. How gorgeous is that? This is actually on your ScanNCut. If you go to add images, you will see this. You just scroll down and this is something that's already on your machine. And there was another file there that I've always wanted to try, and here it is. It's a beautiful, I don't know, how, like a reef with a bird. How gorgeous is that? I am going to use this on a project today because I already had the paper there, and I said, I'm gonna use it for other things. And there you are. Thank you for being with me again, and I hope you have learned something that you will use over and over again. Have some fun, use your imagination, and enjoy. Thank you for being here.